Guess what, Dad? We got a bunch of those, don't we? Bunches of them. What is our theme for this week? Anybody know? Go for it. Huh? For the whole week. Everybody know Jesus right up there, isn't it? See there, yes. Food, Jesus, eternal God. That's right. And we've got a lesson that's going to be talking about Jesus and one event that transpired in his life if you're going to the little class. If you're in the adult classes, everything is different. Art Smith was supposed to be here tonight, and I contacted him last night, and he said, Vic, I messed up. He said, I'm at camp. He said, I can't make it. I said, oh, you've got to be kidding. So the adults are stuck with me. They are stuck with me. So we'll have fun. Maybe we'll have fun. We'll see. All right, let's do a little something real quick. Y'all remember this song from last week? Okay. Since our focus is on Jesus, this is one of those songs that if you ever learn it, it just gets stuck in your head. And you can't quit singing it hardly. Or if you ever start singing it, you'll sing it for a week and wish you could get it out of your head. Okay? But it's a pretty song. It reminds us of Jesus. And we need to be thinking about Jesus a lot, don't we? So let's sing it. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. There's just something about that name. Master, Savior, Jesus, like a fragrance after the rain. Jesus, 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 let all heaven and earth proclaim. Kings and kingdoms will all pass away, but there's something about that name. Guess who's here? Everybody's here. And I'm glad. Russell's really glad. And I was going to call him him. He didn't even know it. Let's sing it through one more time, and that'll give them a little bit of time to get ready back there, and then we'll get started. Okay? One more time. Jesus, 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 there's just something about that name. Master, Savior, Jesus, like a fragrance after the rain. Jesus, 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 let all heaven and earth proclaim. Kings and kingdoms will all pass away, but there's something about that name. Very good. How many of you were not here last week? Got a few, yes. Weren't here last week. That's all right. We're glad you're here tonight. But we have a brand new puppet show, brand new actors and actresses. I guess you call them actresses now. Some actors says one of them called actors today. And several of you got to see them last week, but some of you haven't seen them. So let's introduce these guys, and we'll see if they're all here. Becca, come on out. There she is. There's Becca. Very good. All right, let's talk about Joe. Joe, where are you? Jay. How about Jay? And then there's Maddie. There she is. Y'all can't talk?
Hi.
Hi.
Woo!
What do you want us to say?
Very good. Well, we're glad all of you guys are here, okay? All right, y'all go back there, get ready. We'll start here in just a second. Now, last week, our puppet show was in what town? Was Does anybody remember? The little bitty town of Cana of Galilee. That's where Jesus turned water into wine. But there was one character who was not from Cana of Galilee. Who was that? See, y'all are going to get into these guys. It was Maddie. Okay? Maddie was not from Cana of Galilee. Where was she from? Jerusalem, yes. And there's Jerusalem on a map right there. It's not very far from the Dead Sea, and it sits upon a very tall mountain, about 2,900 feet above sea level. It sits on 7 different hills, okay, the city of Jerusalem. There's the city itself as far as a fairly good picture of it. You'll notice that little dome on the right-hand side that is called the Dome of the Rock. And it is believed that that is the place where the old temple dwelt. The population of the city of Jerusalem is 975,000 people. That's about. Okay. Does anybody know how many individuals live right in the city limits of Jacksonville? Nobody knows? I didn't either, so I looked it up today. 986,000 in the city limits. Now, you go outside that, it gets a lot bigger. Okay, so our town and their city, comparable as far as population is concerned. And in the second puppet show, the puppets are going to be talking about a trip they're going to make, and this is the trip they're going to take. They're going to go to the Western Wall. Some refer to that as the Wailing Wall. There are many individuals who believe that that particular wall was the literal wall of the temple in the days of Jesus, and that's not the case, folks. Okay? Jesus said that the temple itself, in his day, not one stone would be left standing upon another. And he did, and that's exactly what happened. But there is a wall, and it's a additional wall that Herod built, and that is the wall that stands there, and it was connected to the old temple. Very religious site, very holy site for a lot of individuals. But our characters, guess what? They aren't going to be going there on this particular show. Okay, so let's get started, and let's see what they have to say tonight.
I sure did sleep good last night, Maddie. Thanks so much for having us in your house for the next couple of weeks. I've been in Jerusalem before, but I was only about 2 or 3 years old. I still remember the hotel we stayed in, the tour of the city we took, the hill of Calvary, Gethsemane, and the temple ruins.
How do you remember all of that? That was about 15 years ago.
I don't really. I was just kidding.
I thought so. Most of the time of the day, after we're in school and we learn something, I forget it. And I can't remember it.
School, I sure do miss being in school with you guys. This year has been a big adjustment for me since I live in Jerusalem. The classes are bigger, and I'm having to make a lot of new friends. By the way, guys, where's Jay? Wait, don't tell me. Is he having to fix his hair?
Yep. The part in his hair has to be perfect. The waves have to wave, the curls have to curl, or he won't go out in public.
Well, there's Hollywood right there.
Hey, it takes a lot of effort to look this beautiful.
We know.
Maddie, I sure am hungry. What are we going to do for breakfast?
There's a restaurant about 3 or 4 blocks from here. They have a great breakfast. I thought we would go there.
Let's go. Woo!
I was at this restaurant about a month ago, and I saw a very good man. He saw an elderly woman and who was not able to pay for her meal, and he picked up the tab.
Wow, I love it when things like that happen. People like that set a really good example for us to follow. When we can, we need to help others rather than thinking the worst about them.
Jay, you used the word example just now. What does that word mean?
I think it means like something to follow.
I heard that it means a pattern.
Both of those are good definitions, but my Bible class teacher said the word can mean the letter writing on top of the page.
That's a weird definition.
You guys remember when we learned to write in elementary school? We had tablets. Each page had a capital letter and a smaller letter on the top of the page.
I remember those tablets. You had to copy each one of the letters 10 or 20 times. Your teacher would tell you to keep the line straight, and you were not able to go above or below the lines. The circles had to be perfect. The letters couldn't be crooked.
Yeah, I remember those tablets too. After a while, you could make your letters look just like those at the top.
I understand the definition now. Those letters on the top of the page were perfect, and it's a perfect example of how to copy.
I get it too. But Joe, why were you defining the word example in Bible class?
The Bible teaches us that Jesus is our example. In John 13:15, Jesus told his disciples, I have given you an example, that ye should do as I have done to you.
I remember that Peter also tells us that Jesus is our example in suffering. 1 Peter 2:21, Peter wrote, For even hereunto were ye called, because Christ also suffered for us, leaving us an example that ye should follow in his steps.
When you think about the writing tablet, it's a perfect description of Jesus. His life is the letter at the top of the page. We are to copy his life the very best we can.
And just like that, we are writing letters. We are not very good at first, but Jesus' life was hard to copy. But the more we practice, we get better. More and more and more, our lives begin to look like Jesus is our example, everybody.
Isn't that a wonderful thought? Jesus is our example. We do not have to try to figure out each little aspect of our life. All we need to do is study the life of Jesus and follow in his steps.
And think about this. Jesus is a perfect example. He never committed one sin. He never thought, said, or did anything contrary to the Word of God.
No man can say that he has never sinned. I know I can't say that. I try to do good. Most of the time, I set a pretty good example for others, but I'm not perfect.
Joe, God doesn't expect us to be perfect. He knows we will sin. But we have to live in a way that sets an example. And that example will follow for others to follow us as an example. Paul invited others to follow him in 1 Corinthians 11:1. He said, Be ye followers of me, even as I also am of Christ.
Those last words are important. Paul told them to follow him even as he was following Christ. If Paul quit following Christ, then he was not to be followed.
Jesus is an example for us in many, many ways. We have 4 books filled with his wonderful example.
I guess we all need to do better studying Matthew, Mark, and John so we can understand how Jesus lived.
I agree. Don't forget about Luke. Here.
Well, here we are, guys. This place is called Eggs, Eggs, and More Eggs.
You're joking, right?
No, it's called Eggs, Eggs, and More Eggs.
Well then, I think I'll get me some eggs.
I guess I'll have to.
I just hope they have some good coffee and some sugar-free cream and some stevia.
Well, I know they have cream. Stevia, I think that is an American thing. Remember, we're in Jerusalem.
Yeah, let's go eat, guys.
Let's go. Woo! Let's go. I'm hungry.
Very good. Did you do good? Very good. What were they trying to stress to you, guys?